When I was 5 years old, my dad actually lost all of his money in the stock market. Every 1, 2 years, we had to change the home because the landlord says, "Hey, look, you guys are not paying the rent. You guys need to move out." I barely could speak English. I got a lot of feedback. My English was terrible. I was kind of stammering. I got like what my heart was pounding. I went to so many national level coding competitions and I got like 5 top coder prizes.
I know the kind of startup you built, but how did that come into play? How did you meet your co-founder? How did you come to that idea that you wanted to build? Pre-seed and seed, what does it mean? And how was the process of pitching an idea to people who want to invest?
We got invested by a venture firm called Seedcamp. They're one of the leader European VC firm, one of the leaders. They manage portfolio of I think 500 million funds.
I wanted to ask you, like, how much did you raise for the product?
Till that we raised 2.9 million US dollars.
This is part of Dreamer series, where we delve deep into human psychology to make sense of people. Today's guest is Venki, a AI tech founder from US. Feel free to watch his story till the end. And as you do it, don't forget to subscribe. It means a lot to me. Maybe we should start by introducing you, Venki. Who is Venki?
Yeah, right. Myself, Venki, I'm the CTO, co-founder of OneShot AI. But this is like what I am today in terms of professionally. But deep to the roots, born and brought up in India from a middle class family, I would say. Been through all the childhood struggles in terms of the financially, I would say. So I have like 3 elder sisters, and I'm the younger son in my family. And when I was 5 years old, that my dad actually lost all of his money in the stock market. So from then, ever since, it's been a hurdle, I would say, a struggle to kind of cope up to the family. You know how it works back in the home.
Exactly, I understand.
Yeah, so it's always a constantly struggle from whether it's education, whether it's shelter, whether it's food. I keep remember like every 1, 2 years we had to change the home because the landlord says, "Hey, look, you guys are not paying the rent. You guys need to move out." So it took, I would say, several years until basically, I don't know how I even get it off from that situation all the way to studies. Actually, I did chemistry in the bachelor's and I did computer science in the master's. So,
But before we go straight into that, I would like to create a timeline of your life.
yeah.
I think your life story is very exciting, so I would like people to listen to it. So choose a good memory where you can start from quite early in your life.
So I would say at the early, it's how do we keep move from 1 year to next year, whether
Mm,
it's education, whether how do you keep thriving, right? Like how do you keep hustle? So I would say
mm,
one memory I would say is during my childhood, I was working at a printing press. Now it's all digital. Back in the days, it's all basically digital, and it's kind of a machine where you put the paper, you get this, take it out. I was working
mm,
there at a printing press when I was probably 10 years old, uh,
mm.
only to get like some money. Like they used to pay me around like 50 rupees a month, which is like half a dollar today, like we're 1 hour. So I like that. I still remember that. That's my first hustling moment when I was looking for work. So that
Mm.
was the greatest moment.
And who was around you at that time? Where is this happening?
So this is
Um,
happening back home and Andhra, southern part, Andhra Pradesh, and I was from a
mm,
place called Pidigwala.
mm,
Uh, so this is where when we moved to a new home, like when my dad lost, we kind of moved to a different neighborhood. So
mm,
there, then I found this printing press near to me. I was working there. So I would say
mm,
ever since there, it has been always constantly every year do some work, get some money, whether use
mm.
that for education for that year or maybe surviving. So just keep
And this is happening after this stock market
yeah.
thing that we talked
This
about.
happened when I was at 5 years old.
Okay.
Actually, I was born in a good middle class family, good money, but
Mm.
then I lost everything during that period,
Yeah.
5 years. But then
Yes.
it's a struggle.
Okay. And what kind of person were you back in time? Say, like you started at a 10-year-old Venki. Who was 10-year-old Venki? What was your point of view about the world?
So I think back then it's been like, how is there anybody who can give some opportunity for
Mm-hmm.
somebody who's true to the core in the need of something, whether
Mm,
it's I don't know, like to the reason could be anything, right? You get some money to kind of feed the family and maybe to even for yourself to motivate to go to next level. I would say back in the world, it's been a constant hustling, finding
mm.
that opportunity who can basically help me to go to next level. So I would say it's basically constant prospecting for work.
So you have always been a lookout for opportunities, even back in time.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's yeah, and the other it's a kind of a do or die, right? Like based on
Mm,
the situation where you came from, it's like a do or die. My dad does it, and I have to do. It's not that I'm kind of making some money for the family, but it's just that I just don't want to be another burden, right? You are living
mm,
in the family, and then somebody says, "Hey, look, where is the rent?" When you keep hear those at the childhood, I just don't
mm,
want to be extra burden for my dad. Whether I removed or not, it doesn't matter. But it's just
mm.
that thought process where you came from is what really helped me too much, to be honest.
So, but like what I'm hearing is more of like you always had the pressure as
Yeah,
a young child to kind of like help the family because you have been seeing a lot of problems around, and you were as a young person thinking like, how do I contribute
yeah, yeah,
to the family? So
yeah,
you also I can see like a lot of people back. I have audience from not just in India, and I feel like people don't understand how responsible kids are back in India, especially back in time if it's middle class. It's a early stress on you need to help your parents out, and even when they grow older, it's their responsibility to take care of the family. It's very different from a Western view of family and how to stay together.
yeah.
W- w- So, what happened after your printing press adventure? I would call like go and working over there. What happened after that?
After that, I mean, as you start growing, you get uh, you get more. I mean, the education also growing up. It's basically some lab work, I would say. Then actually, the next thing I did was like a paper boy. You know, in the
Hmm.
morning you get newspapers like 6 a.m. I go to a place and they give the papers and they tell you, hey, these are the thousand, maybe these are the 100 people. You just take the
Hmm.
bicycle, put the papers, and then you
Hmm.
roll the paper and then just throw it. Right? You remember those days? So I did that
Hmm.
paper boy. It's the good news with
Hmm.
that is you don't need to do work whole day, right? It's just morning.
Hmm.
By the time you wake up, you need the newspaper in the home in front of your door. So it's like I used to go at like what 5:30 a.m., like 6 a.m., take the paper, roll it out in 1 hour. I made good money. I would say 100
Hmm.
rupees, maybe 150 rupees, which is still the same amount what I used to make the whole day. For
Hmm.
me, it's great. I would say that's one another good memory I remember. And then after that, uh, as I started growing, I worked at a back in the days there's like a STD booths. It's a
Hmm.
100 rupee. You just go there. There's a small booth sitting there, and
Hmm.
as I was sitting there, so I used to get like 300 rupees, which is probably like in today's world, it's $4 a month, $5 a month, right?
Mm,
So
mm.
that's a
And
good
then
amount
just to clear it out, STD booth is kind of like the all way of people going and using phones.
using phones, exactly.
It's more like a setup where people would come in, pay for a call, get into the booth, and call someone.
Yeah.
And how old were you all this happening? Like, so you start from 10, were you like around 12,
Yeah,
13
yeah.
at
So
this?
this is like as I would say 10 to I graduated in 2009,
Hmm.
basically the masters, and then 3 years masters. 2006 I did a bachelor's. So this
Hmm.
is all like when I was doing the 10th grade, maybe 12th grade, I would say. What I've been
Okay.
getting during that period.
Okay. And did you want to be something or someone back in time? So you've been doing all this things on the side, making money, hustling, like helping your parents out. What did you want to become at that time?
That's a very good question. The back then, the aspiration, the true aspiration for me is as long as if I can get money and that's good, that should be good enough to run the family. I'm
Hmm.
like super successful. That's the state of art because you
Hmm.
go through shitload struggles in the family, in the neighborhood. I was
Hmm.
like, oh, let me make sure I run a family which is good enough.
Hmm.
So I think that's it, right? And then when I
Mm,
come to towards the graduation, the bachelor's, then finally somebody told me, "Hey, you are doing all of this, working on the printing press, working on this newspaper, on the STD booth." I was like, I didn't feel like it was not compounding towards what I've been studying.
mm,
Which I think,
mm, mm,
so
mm,
how could I leverage the studies that I have been doing? That's
mm,
when I actually finally did a shift from all
mm,
these mom and
mm,
pop things to a full-fledged tuition center. This
mm,
is happened when I was in, I would say, bachelor's, second year, third year, which is basically, I would say, 14th or 15th grade if you are to sum it up, I would say,
yes.
right?
And just before going into that, what did you choose after high school? What did you choose to study?
So after high school, so it's basically the intermediate, right? Like intermediate,
Mm,
like I did MPC. MP is like physics,
mm, mm,
science basically. That's what I did. That was like
mm,
11th and 12th is MPC.
mm,
And then after that, it's graduation. You either go to engineering, do
mm,
inside that stream. I was like, I was too poor. I don't think that for me, that's too far. There's no way.
mm.
Too long. I'm saying I'm going to do computers, to be honest, from the way I came from.
Mm,
Then we just did some local college, bachelor's chemistry. So
mm,
the yearly fees, I still remember it's 3,000 rupees. My
mhm.
yearly fees, which is in the current today's one, probably $50.
$50 for yearly
$50 per year.
tuition.
And that was like nightmare to get that 3,000 rupees. Nightmare.
Mm. And even in so just to clear the timeline. So you've been high school, you've been doing all this kind of side hustles, you passed out, and then you went to this college nearby and you're studying there. And maybe like second year of the college, you thought about like how do I start a tuition
Yeah.
um, firm? So how did that happen, and what happened to that?
Yeah. So this after intermediate, during that bachelor's time, that's when you get a bit more mature, right? Like that time I
Mm,
was, what, I would say, 13th or 14th grade. I would say if you added up, like probably 16, 17 years old.
mm,
So you get like a little bit exposure to the world, or you studied. So I started looking around the ways, how can I leverage what I'm doing with current. So I
mm,
stopped those small things, side hustles, then looking around something which I can compound effect what I've been doing. So
mm,
looking for the ways. So obviously tuition center, I go to college during
mm,
the daytime. So I still have morning 3 hours and then evening 3, 4 hours. So felt like educating, like teaching the other kids. Like I would say, I taught from kindergarten all the way to 10th standard. It's such a big,
mm.
say, wide variety. I just said, like, I put like I still remember my tuition center name is called Pragati Center. Pragati means growth. I see, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we had like what 30, 40 students, just the neighborhood and the other street and
Mm.
the house. That was pretty cool. And you know how much I used to make? So
Hmm?
per month I used to make 3,000 rupees, which is
Okay.
equal the whole year college. I was like, wow, this is insane.
You're getting a feeling for the business.
I'm getting exactly. Yeah.
And how did you like, just to quickly explain, like, you set up, say, a building where students could come and sit
It's
down
not a
and,
building, it's our home. So
okay,
yeah.
okay, your own home. So you use the infrastructure of your own home where kids come in,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
there's,
yeah.
and there should be some place for people to sit and things like that, right? No,
Yeah. So
you,
back home, how the homes are. My home is just 2 rooms. I mean, actually, probably 3 rooms.
okay.
Just that's the bedroom, kitchen, everything, whatever you call. And my
Mm,
dad, so I have like what, three elder sisters, my mom and
mm,
dad, and they know, okay, cool. This is the tuition time. Everybody leaves the home. They have to leave the
mhm.
home. They keep the home free. And my dad
Wow.
goes outside, my sisters go outside, and then the students come during that period. In fact, actually, because it's a tuition center, is morning 6:30 a.m. It's
Mm,
hard like everybody to wake up. My
mm.
sisters actually just go to upstairs and then just stay there until the tuition is over, and then they come after the tuition is over. So in the
Wow.
evening, it's a different thing. Yeah.
I have to say, like, I think by the end, people would realize where you have ended up with your startup. It makes it very sweetened when you realize what you did to get there. Okay, so as the second year you started this business, you feel that, oh wow, I'm getting the feeling for the business, money is coming in.
Yeah.
What happened after that?
What happened after that? Then basically that itself is 3,000 rupees per year, which I feel we couldn't even afford in our life. But
Mm,
somehow magically that happened. And then after graduation, which is basically 12 plus 3, which is 15, right, at the education,
mm,
I told my dad, I asked my dad actually. It was basically, back then you lose the electricity in the evening, like 7 p.m. and
mm,
all. My dad came from outside. I was sitting, the tuition is over. So like 8:30 p.m., I was sitting
mm,
on the outside and my dad came. I asked my dad, I've been doing very well with my business. Can you
mm,
help me? Can
mm,
you help me with to get a proper building? I wanted to
mm.
actually do a proper school
Expand. Mm,
from a
mm, mm,
tuition point to like a full-fledged school, right?
mm, mm,
My dad, this is a good idea, but somehow
mm,
my dad he had more bigger aspirations than I've been thinking. He
mm,
told, "This is all. This is not going to move the needle in your life." He was like, "That's."
mm,
He said,
mm,
"I'm going to make you study masters." I
mm,
said,
mm,
wow, really? Then I was asking, make me study masters in what?
mm,
Computers. So then I
mm,
was doing, I didn't even know, I was saying like science, maybe,
mm.
bachelor's or whatever,
Chemistry. Mm.
economics. He was like, no, I'm going to make you study masters in computer science. I was
Okay.
like, I don't know what is it. The only situation that we hear of computers is to get the results. When we
Mm,
study, like after the results, you go to internet center and you give the hall ticket number, and then they look and they, oh yeah, you passed it. You got like 90%. You got like 80%. That's the
mm,
only term that I hear computers. To be honest, this is
mm.
when I was in what 19 years old, probably 20 years old.
Okay. Mm.
So that's it.
Yeah, I think like with parents and children relationship, especially a child like you who's been like working very hard, very early, very determined to
Yeah.
help the family. I think the parents would see the what you're doing, because they are a bit more old, right? And they see the capability. Like
Yeah.
you're just 18, you're like really trying to build a business. So they feel like, wow, this kid actually have so much potential,
Potential. Yeah.
and it shouldn't be wasted in a smaller business. I should do my best to make sure he reaches where he should.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I would say that's something I couldn't thank enough my dad. It's he has a greater aspirations when I don't have anything on my life, and
mm,
especially when you're struggling for food and shelter, having that forward thinking, like next level,
mm,
like level 3 level, I think that
mm,
mindset is very very hard.
mm.
I'm glad my dad had a very special.
Um, and what happened after that? So, say you are 18, 19, you're having this, you had this talk with father, and what happened after?
So he did all the research, to be honest. He did all the research, what I should do, which college I should do. And then looks like there is an entrance test that time, it's called ISET. It's 200,000 people write
Mm,
the test, right?
mm,
And you
mm,
get the
mm.
rank. So my dad put me in a coaching center, like they used to call it as a long-term coaching, short-term coaching. So
Yeah.
the short
Mm,
is like 2 months, or maybe 2.5 months. It's kind of a summer camp, right?
mm,
You just
mm,
go there. They're gonna say, "Hey, look," and they have like a wide variety of categories. One is mathematics. One is this thing. What do you call
mm,
English and other things a lot. So I went through that 2.5 months program, and they charged
mm.
me for. I still remember, they charged me like 6,000 rupees or like 7,000 rupees. I was telling my
Mm.
dad, "Are you crazy? This is like my
To spend that much.
it's like we spent that for 2, 3 years of graduation. Now you're spending all the money just for 2 months. Like,
Mm.
shut your mouth. It's like, just go there. Do you?
And
I think,
study.
yeah. And
Mm,
I came back with, so I got the rank like 825, something like that, out of
mm.
200,000 people. So,
That's very good. Mm,
yeah. So that's it. And then I got the rank. And then we had to go to this counseling where they're going to look into your rank and they ask for which college you want. Then I
mm,
went to a college in Vijayawada. I don't know if you
mm.
heard that.
Yes, yes, I know Vijayawada. Mm,
I went to Vijayawada and there's a college called PB Siddhartha. I went there, I
mm,
did my master's or there on computer science coming from a chemistry background.
mm, 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 mm. I just want to like give a bit more context. In India, competition is extremely high, and I feel like Andhra Pradesh is also somewhere people study extremely hard. I had
Yeah,
when I was studying my bachelor's, I remember kids from Andhra who's very determined to get good grades. So it's typical to have an entrance test to kind of like evaluate how good this kid is and place him in the right university, and that's what you explained. So,
Yeah.
okay. So what kind of course did you end up at? And what kind of university in Vijayawada did you end up at?
Yeah, it's the university is Nagarjuna University, and the college
Mm.
is Siddhartha, like PV Siddhartha. That's
Mm.
basically a PG college, post graduation
Okay.
college, and
Mm.
they offer masters in computer science as well, along with other branches like
Mm.
academics, physics, and maths. So I
Mm.
ended up studying over there. That is like a big leap for me. I've been studying everything all the way in my city, like not even city, it's a village, right? It's a kind of
Mm.
bundle. Been studying there. Suddenly you have to move from your place to another place, which is probably like 100 kilometers away.
Mm.
Oh, wow, this is insane, right? So I moved there. Then I had to rent a place over there, and then for
Mm.
me that time every month I had to spend 2,000 rupees,
Mm.
which is almost an yearly education fees I had to spend for month to for stay accommodation, right?
Mm.
It's a bit
Mm.
I was like, I don't know how they would surpass that. I would pass through that phase. Three
Mm.
years was like a bigger expensive in our life. So
Mm.
whole 3 years was it costed me around the whole masters costed me around
Mm.
3,000 rupees, which I would
Mm.
say in $100.
Mm. Mm. And how did you make it? Were you like doing side hustles like as you
Yeah.
used to do? Okay.
Yeah. Now this is where the magic happened. The true magic happened is during that 3 years, how we
Mm.
kind of survived.
Mm.
What happened? Do you remember I told you my dad lost all the money when I was
Yes, in stock market. Mm.
stock market? The company stocks
Mm.
went into like a whatever,
Mm.
like it is or whatever. He
Mm.
ignored the stocks. Like it's like he didn't bother to sell. Like it's nothing, right? He
Mm.
left it over. When he came to me study, put me into Vijayawada for the studies. When we
Mm.
went across, he actually saw a company board in the Vijayawada,
Mm.
and
Mm.
that board is actually the stocks that he was owning
Okay.
20
Okay.
years
Okay.
back. 20 years back. And he was like, wow, this is crazy. The company still existed. He basically he moved on. He moved on the stocks. So back
Mm.
then it's not digital. It's all actually like a papers. You have a
Mm.
papers, stocks. He took
Mm.
all the papers and then went there. And the guy
Mm.
said he did something basically in and it
Mm.
worked out and they paid 27,000 rupees, which is
Okay.
almost 1 year of my expense.
Mm.
And
Mm.
like sometimes if you truly want to make it work, somehow magic happens. So 1 year passed, 1 year somehow I survived with the stocks that he lost like when I was 5 years old. That's
Mm.
1 year. And the second year, somehow another year I survived. Do you
Mm.
know Sir Ratan Tata Trust?
Yes.
Like it's a I would say one of the kind person in India. I would say I hope you get this Bharat Ratna, whatever you call.
Mm.
I applied for a scholarship for this trust. I just write a nice paper. Venki, this is what I've done. This is what my academics. This is what this thing, and they
Mm.
pay me around like 17,000 rupees in a
Mm.
year, which
Mm.
gave the scholarship, and then studied for this. And then another thing, I got another some amount of money from my HOD, head of
Mm.
science department.
Mm.
She saw my struggle.
Mm.
Basically, she sent a message to her community, whatever it is, and
Mm.
somebody sponsored me 6,000 rupees, which
Mm.
helped me. So it's all like full of scholarships, something. And
Mm.
then at the end, I did my own again tuition center. This
Mm.
time, I taught computer science. You know, as like look at the arts. Like I did chemistry in the bachelor's, and then did
Mm.
masters in computer science. First 1 2 years, I barely know what is computers. Then I
Mm.
learned it, and the
Mm.
third year, I taught computer science to the students in
Mm.
Vijayawada. Big institute. I was like, wow, this is insane. There's like thousands of people come to that. I taught computer science when I was in final year, and I made some money over there. So it helped me to kind of,
Yeah, I think like when you have good intentions at heart, the
yeah,
world has a tendency to help you.
yeah,
And I can see in your case the way you explain things one by one because you have good intentions. You really want to help people out, right? And then you are like really pushing what you could possibly do.
yeah,
Help kind of like comes to your life.
yeah. I read this quote. This actually made me. If you truly work hard, right, true to the
Mm.
quote, all stars will come aligned and make it happen for you. I read
Yeah,
this
yeah,
quote.
yeah.
I was like, wow, this is exactly happening in my.
Okay, so so you went there, 3 years passed, and you kind of like studied computer science, and then you started like giving tuition to students. What happened after that? So how many years of a course was that?
It's
Uh,
3 years.
it's 3 years. So you finished your course, and what happened after that?
Then there is another twist happened after that. It's 2009. I
Mm,
came out of masters in computer science with a
mm,
huge aspirations. My dad was like, okay, cool. It's simple. Like he had great aspirations, and for me, we both look at it like how much investment we did for my education, and we
mm,
invested $1,500. There
mm.
is ROI here. We both are like constant. Like where is ROI here? And then and annoyingly, 2009, the recession
Decision
was.
happened.
Yeah,
Mm,
recession.
mm, mm,
2008 happened, the recession, and there
mm,
is no jobs, man. There is no jobs in 2009. It
mm,
was, oh my God. You did all this to realize that there is a recession. You graduated in the recession period. It was
mm.
annoying. And I actually got an offer. In the campus placement, there is thing called
Yes.
campus placement.
Mm.
So when I was in the final year itself, I went through a company, a campus placement. I got an offer, a company called Virtusa. I don't know if you've heard the.
That is quite big. Now they're quite big. Yeah, yeah,
They're,
yeah.
they're a multinational company. I got
Mm,
placed in Virtusa
mm.
during college itself, and they
Mm.
offered me 2.5 lakhs per year, which
Okay.
is like I would say, how do I say, like per month probably five like $300,
Okay.
300.
Mm.
Yeah, which is a good thing. Like I was like, okay,
Back
cool.
in time.
If
Mm.
huh? If I would
Back
have
in.
got for 1 year salary, and I basically paid off all my education, entire
Mm.
education, not just masters, right? Pretty
Mm.
much.
Mm.
And then I was like, okay, cool, happy kid. Okay, nice, nice. We studied and I got the job. Everything is good. And 2009 election happened, and the guy rescinded the offer. The guy said, like, no, we are not inviting you because our business is not doing good. Then I
Mm.
had, to bring my hustle. What I used to do, it's nothing
Mm.
new for me. It's already in my body itself,
Blood.
right? Then I was like, started my grinding again. So
Mm.
I used to send shitload of cold emails.
Okay.
Seriously,
Mm.
shitload of
Mm.
cold
Mm.
emails. All I've done is, by the way, one thing I didn't tell you during that 3 years period,
Mm.
I went to so many national level coding competitions
Okay. Mm. Mm. Mm.
during that period. I went to
Important
Pondicherry.
detail.
Very, very important area. I went to
Mm.
national level coding competitions. I went to Pondicherry, Tamil Nadu Pondicherry. So
Yes. Mm.
Pondicherry University, very big one. I went to other state, and in the Andhra state itself, I went to so many colleges, and I got
Mm.
like 5 top coder prizes, top coder.
Okay.
Yeah, and I
Mm.
did
Mm.
this when I was in that 3 years.
3 year. Mm.
So academically, my marks are like top notch, and then I got
Mm.
top coding, and then I did
Mm.
this whole hustling, and then
Mm.
I was placed in campus placement, and they did not call. Then I
Mm.
went back to zero again,
Mm. Mm.
cold prospecting. I used to shitload of cold emails. Hey,
Mhm.
this is Venki, and this is what my background, this is my resume, this is my accomplishments, right? And
Mm.
do you have an opening for me? That's it. Nobody responded. And I used to chase the people, like send an email, wait for 3 days, and then another follow-up email, another follow-up email. There are only few people responded, only to scold me. You are annoying. You are disturbing me. Do not.
And to give a bit more context, cold email is basically you finding the name of the person, maybe like in a company, you find a person and you just send email saying that I would really like to work with you. This is
Yes.
who I am. Okay.
This is
And
who
so
I am.
people replied by scolding you, like, don't do this. We have
Yeah,
other
don't do this.
stuff to
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I can understand like they are. It's a problem everywhere. The musician.
Mm,
It's like, okay, fine. It's my desperation. It's my need, and whether it's
mm,
that people got annoyed, I
mm,
can see it. But then that's okay. But then I kept on doing it for I would say 6 months. Then
mm,
I did an internship. I worked
mm,
at a company called Vimukti Technologies. I did an internship, and
mm,
they paid me 5,000 rupees per month, which is I
mm.
would say sixty
60.
dollars.
Mm,
Sixty
mm, mm,
dollars a month. I worked there for 3 months for
mm,
internship. When I still not graduated from the college. This is when
mm,
the last year, the last 6 months. So I
mm,
did that, and then during that period itself, I've been doing cold emailing. This is it's a rough patch that time.
mm,
Then finally, I placed in a company called DimDim, which
mm,
basically, after so much of cold emailing, a guy is like, "Okay, come to the interview on Saturday." I went
mm.
on Saturday, and then I joined on Monday. and he
Mm-hmm.
offered me $300 a month. I was like, wow, this is like, I'm the happiest man in the world.
And he was a nice guy as well. He saw your desperation. He saw a kid who really wants to work. So he was like, okay, let's give him a chance. You
Yeah,
need people like that to
yeah,
build future good humanity in a sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I have
So
again great respect towards him. Like I would not have been here without him.
Hmm. So you send him the cold email, and this story is going to change your life, which
Yeah.
I already know. So I'm looking forward to you saying that. So you got placed in this place, and you started working. And what kind of work was it? Is it like coding?
It's a full stack software engineer.
Okay.
Uh, there's a technology called GWT, Google Web Toolkit.
Okay.
I was working on that. Like I was working on the technology, but full stack, 18
Mm.
hours, to be honest, 17 to 18 hours a day. I worked my
Mm.
ass off
Mm.
nonstop for one
Mm.
and a half year.
Mm.
And then the magic happened. The company
Mm.
was acquired by Salesforce
Mm.
after one and a half year. I
Mm.
worked there. In 2009, I joined, and then in 2011, the company sold. Dim was sold to
Mm.
Salesforce. And then that
Mm.
Salesforce, how big is that? And then
Yes.
after acquisition, the whole.
And acquisition was Salesforce is coming to buy a company, so it must be a big amount, right? And did everyone exited from the company, or, for example, I know that you kind of moved to Salesforce to continue working with the technology. So how
Yeah.
was that happening? So they came, they bought up the company. What happened next?
Yeah. So after that, I mean, you still founders and all the key players still with
Mm.
Salesforce. They were there for 2 years after acquisition. And then
Mm.
obviously after that, everybody find their own way. Somebody continued again another entrepreneurial journey. They started another company. You know how
Mm.
the startup work.
Mm.
Somebody continued. Somebody joined another company. Whatever. Everybody kind of dispersed. So I would
Mm.
say I was one of the very few still stick with
Stayed.
Salesforce. Yeah.
And what happened to you? So now how old are you at this time?
At that time, it's 2011, right? 2011. I
Mm.
born in 1986. Maybe probably 24, 23, 25 maybe.
So 24, 25, you have ended up in a company as big as Salesforce
Yeah.
by a lot of luck and also your work ethic. So you ended up in Salesforce. And what happened after that? So were you working in India, this part of Salesforce? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in Hyderabad. So Salesforce, so our company like Dim was the first development center for Salesforce to venture in India.
Okay.
They didn't have any presence in India
Mm.
because of our acquisition, because of our previous company got acquired. So they have started building that, and they
Mm.
come and that I would say Salesforce India has gone so big after
Mm.
acquisition. Like we were barely like 30, 40 employees, and then
Mm.
now I think if I ask them, I think probably there are like thousands of employees over there.
Mm-hmm. So you were first few.
So
Mm.
in 2011, after acquisition, then I was like, I wanted to move on to international. I wanted to have an international exposure. Then I was
Mm.
looking for opportunities internationally.
Okay.
So then I've been kind of discussing with my manager and what superior. I wanted to come here. Then I also explored outside how the market is.
Mm.
Then I went to a company. I went to a country called Denmark. I don't know if you know the.
It's very close to Sweden, where I live.
I went to a company called Podio. It's a startup. It's
Yeah.
in the same collaboration space. They
Mm.
called me for interview internationally. I went
Mm.
to Denmark from Hyderabad there, and
Mm.
I cracked the interview. I got an offer to join Podio.
Mm.
Then I went to Salesforce. Okay,
Okay.
I'm also leaving. I'm also
Mm.
leaving for these reasons. And they were like, okay, cool. If this international, would you mind relocating to the states?
US.
Yeah, like, why not? Right?
Mm.
So they
Mm.
retained me, so I kind of declined the offer and then stayed in Salesforce. Then came to States in 2014. So
Okay.
the
So.
company got acquired in 2011. And then
Mm.
2011 to 2014, I was working in Salesforce India, Hyderabad.
Mm.
Then all that happened. Then came to States.
United States. Okay.
Texas Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, basically.
And the best place for startup founders as well.
Yeah, there you go.
How was your life as a, see, you are coming from a very hard place. You've been like, constantly pushing the boundaries, and now you got a chance to move to US. What was your expectation about US, and how did it feel to finally arrive?
Yeah. So that time, so when Salesforce was, sorry, Dimdim was acquired by Salesforce, we had a huge party, which
Yeah.
probably I would say I can't, I still remember, it's still fresh in my eyes, still fresh feeling. It's a big hotel, like no hotel. I've been
Mm,
there. Everybody, like people came from the states back
mm,
home. Everybody was like in a high mode, right? Like the
mm,
drinking, boozing, whatever. I was just sitting back. I was just sitting back and watching all the people from Dim Dim.
mm.
I was only like what fresher, joined like 2 years, but
Only three. Mm,
there have been people vested so much than me, right? They committed
mm,
so much than me. I was only probably kid coming
mm,
from the college. I've seen their fulfillment. I've seen their success in their eyes.
mm, 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 mm.
If I want to do anything next time, I should do startup. I should do
Yeah.
startup. I should have that feeling. And everybody was boozing, everybody enjoying, and I was sitting back and just watching the founders, how much joy that they had, and how
Mm,
much. It's basically, I would say they found purpose. I would right. So
mm,
I told myself next time I should do it, and that basically in 2011 I planted my seed that I should start something my own. And
mm,
then obviously I need to learn, I need to build the muscle, go through that hustle. Then 2014, when I was coming to States, I told my wife, if you are
mm,
leaving this country,
mm,
we will start a company. We will start
mm,
a company at that time. This is like 10 years from
mm,
2014 all the way to now 2024. I'm going to tell
mm,
you how it transition happened. But then I came here with that true aspiration that I'm coming to the best of the place, all
mm.
startup system valley. I wanted to basically start my own.
Okay. And then you arrived, and then you started working for Salesforce US, right?
Yeah.
How many years did you work? What was the transition, Venki from India? What happened to Venki from India in Venki in US?
I would say it's a big leap, right? And I barely like so I still remember I barely could speak English. And when I went to even Dim Dim, I joined there. I got a lot of feedback. My English was terrible, and you didn't know actually the Dim Dim founders are in the states or in the states when
Mm,
they came to India after during that period, and when I was asking, they were asking the new hires, introduce
mm,
yourself. I was kind
mm,
of mumbling. I was kind of stammering. I got like what my heart was pounding. I could
mm,
barely utter a word, single word. And I was told, dude, you need to speak.
improve.
I, so I got I would say I was told to go to a place called Toastmasters. I don't know if you know that.
Yes, yes, yes,
Toastmasters.
yes.
You know,
Mm,
okay, cool. So
yeah.
Toastmasters, you go there. It's kind of a community. Everybody come and then they start speaking, public speaking. It's
Mm,
like what
mm,
that helped me a lot. That's the greatest feedback I ever received, and it
mm,
was like I was told you are shit on my face. You are shit.
mm,
You got to do this, otherwise you can't survive. And I took the
mm,
feedback very positively, and I'm glad that there are people looked at
mm.
me and then told me the feedback, and then I worked out. So then I came to Salesforce Hyderabad, so Salesforce US.
Yes.
I,
Mm,
that paid off. Everything
mm,
I paid off, and I was still having the struggle to understand the accent.
mm, mm,
American accent. I was still having the struggle. I would say 2014 first year was getting accustomed to that accent and speaking to the people. And every
mm.
time I leave the room, like I still get like my sweat out or maybe pounding, whatever it is. I would say that's it. Technically, I can ace it, but communication, whatever it is, it was.
You were very young, even back in that 2014. Relatively speaking, you're quite young, like 25, 26, moving in this speed,
Yeah, yeah,
already in US. It's understandable. Oh, but you always were confident. Like when I listen to
yeah,
you, I understand. Like you always saw things as like problems that you can solve. You never got stuck at like, oh my God, this is not for me.
yeah,
You were always like a pro. Like let's
yeah,
go and fix this thing and move on.
yeah. And the
And
whole
so.
education was also and the
Mm,
entire education was still native language. There's nothing in English, right? Even though
mm,
I
mm.
went to masters, very few professors teach in English. It's so normal for us to speak Telugu, I mean our native language,
Yes.
and
Mm,
suddenly coming to the industry, speaking to the English was a big.
mm. And then how many years did you work in workforce, and what happened with that? With
Salesforce.
work, how many?
It's a Salesforce, right? not working.
Salesforce. So sorry, Salesforce. So how many years did you work in Salesforce, and what happened? What was your journey from there?
Yeah, so I would say, I mean, we were acquired in 2011, and from
Hmm.
2011 all the way to 2023. I was
Okay.
there. Yeah,
So
I was
so
there.
about 12 years.
Yeah, about 12 years. And I grew up in the ladder so much in those
Hmm.
12 years. I joined as merely a software engineer and
Hmm.
then went all the way to software architect. I've been through like 5 promotions in Salesforce. Every 2 years, a promotion. Every
Because you're very hardworking and you're technically capable. So it's only like reasonable to move up. Because I feel like when people get a bit more older, they kind of like don't want to work that hard. Initial that kind of energy kind of slowly fades off. If you still keep up with that kind of pace, and also like improve your knowledge, the chances of you going up is very high. So
yeah,
you
yeah.
would keep on going up.
Yeah, once in your DNA, it won't go, right? It won't go away. It just
Yeah.
is.
So you worked 12 years in Salesforce, and what happened after that? Why did you quit? Or what was the big event that kind of made you feel like, okay, this is it, I need to go on my own?
Yeah, so remember I told like in 2011 when we were acquired during the party, like that part I was kind of
Hmm.
told myself that I need to start my own thing, but I was kind of finding the moment when to
Hmm.
take the plunge, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So obviously, as a company, if you want to run the company, you need so many things. You need tech, product, sales, marketing,
Hmm.
fundraising, the whole team building, you name it. Right? There's so many areas you need to kind of build muscle. But I barely have the technology thing. So I would say, let me get the full-fledged
Hmm.
any shit I can build. Let me get that kind of confidence, right? That's why I was like working on Salesforce. I worked on so many technologies, front end, back end, the cloud, you name it, right? And
Hmm.
then at the end, I was kind of responsible for, I would say, 6 to 7 Scrum teams, like
Hmm.
around 50 engineers, making
Hmm.
sure they build the right. I was architect, software architecture, make sure that they build
Hmm.
the right, the design side, development side. So I got full confidence on the building
Hmm.
side. Then I was still finding the ways like how do I get my muzzle on the product side, how to get my muzzle on the go-to-market side. So I kind
Hmm.
of prospecting for obviously co-founder, was looking for
Hmm.
my co-founder, and so that's the one moment. And then there I still keep on postponing
Hmm.
to start my thing. I feel like I'm
Hmm.
not ready. I'm not ready.
Hmm.
But then what happened is it's a bit emotional. I lost my dad, right?
Okay. Okay.
And
Hmm.
in 2018, it changed my perspective a lot. So
Hmm.
I would say life was so fragile.
Hmm.
My dad wanted to do so many things, and then he couldn't do it in his life tenure. There's always a reason. There's always a reason to say I'm not ready. I can postpone. I can postpone. But then I just screw it. Just do it. What's the worst? What's the worst could happen, right?
Hmm.
I came from zero several times. What the worst could happen? I would have gone back to same zero, which is not a
Hmm.
new thing in my life. So I
Hmm.
took the plunge because I felt like now look at this. The parents, whether they exist or whether they do not exist, right? They
Hmm.
always teach a lesson. They always teach a
Yes.
lesson. And for
Hmm.
me, my dad taught me a lesson. Just do it.
Hmm.
Life is so fragile, is what my dad told me with his exit story. And then I took the plunge.
Mm-hmm. So you then 12 years after your dad passed away, and I am also wanted to ask you like you moved to US, so and you've been helping your parents and your
Yeah,
sisters all the way, right? And you made sure they are safe and secure and stable, and that also took some time.
sometime, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So I can imagine like financially, you even though you are getting paid much more, you also had a lot of responsibility to cater to
yeah,
for a period of time. So
yeah,
you fulfilled most of all of it, and
yeah,
then at the same time, you are like, okay, now this is the time to move to a different part of life.
yeah,
So what kind of I know the kind of startup you built, but how did that come into play? How did you meet your co-founder? How did you come to that idea that you wanted to build?
yeah, yeah. So I've been building products in the CRM space, right? Salesforce is leader in the CRM space. Almost for 12, 13 years I've been there. So I kind of know the data points around there in the
Hmm.
CRM systems. Like uh, every business, should use some CRM system. So there's a good information sitting in the CRM. How
Could
can
you
you
explain CRM as well, a little bit in detail?
Sure. So CRM is like customer relationship management system, right?
Mm,
If you have a business, you need to manage your customers. So you need to
mm,
manage your customers like in some system, whether what products that they bought and what issues that they had. How
mm,
are you basically coping up with your customers on a day-to-day basis to make them
mm,
happy, to keep them successful, and they still continue to do the business with you, right? That's
mm,
pretty much
mm,
how do you get the new customers, how do you keep the existing customers, all the relation management stuff, right?
mm,
So obviously, the CRM systems hold a lot of information about your customers. Who are
mm,
your customers? How are they customer? How are they happy? Where they are finding difficult with your business. This is a
mm,
good information sitting in the systems. So I was like, how can I make leverage of the data
mm,
to get new customers for your
mm,
business?
mm,
The idea
mm,
started from there. So let's say if you take Amazon and Netflix in the B2C world,
mm,
well, they crack the code. If I go to Amazon and then I bought some certain products, I instantly get a recommendation based on their my
yes.
my orders and then their inventory.
Mm,
I get the recommendations. So why people have not solved this to the extent what it can be solved in the
mm,
B2B space. So that's when I
mm,
kind of started working on this. How can you
mm,
leverage CRM data to find net new customers, right?
mm,
So then
mm,
I
mm,
met my co-founder. My co-founder has been enterprise sales guy for 15 years. He's based
mm,
in London. He
mm,
is born and brought up there. He's been into enterprise sales for longer period, like say 2 decades. And we
mm,
met like coming from a CRM and then coming from a sales background. I felt like it's a perfect pair to
mm,
solve this problem holistically. And
mm,
I'm glad I found my co-founder, and we both started building together. And we've been through fundraising. We raised a couple of rounds,
mm.
pre-seed and seed round. Now we are in the process of doing.
Could you explain a little bit more into like very interested? That's why like pre-seed and seed. What does it mean? And how was the process of pitching an idea to people who want to invest?
Yeah, sure. So pre-seed is like, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like people give the names like seed, pre-seed, Series C. There are like a different terminology. I would say it all goes back to what's the state of your business.
Mm,
If you are in the ideation phase, probably build some kind of proof of concept or a demonstrable product where
mm,
you can convey your vision to the investors. Hey, this is what I'm going to build. This is what I'm going to make out of it, whatever it is. As
mm,
long as that, so at the pre-seed level, it matters the founders a lot. Are
mm,
these founders are the right guys to build this,
mm,
vision, to build this product, right? And in
mm,
our case, we both had a nice founder market fit, I would
mm.
say, because of my Salesforce experience. My partner is sales background, and we
Mm.
are solving for the sales people
Yes,
to
yes,
basically, hey, if you are a business and you could use our platform to get new customers using your CRM data, it's a nice value proposition, right? It's a easy to
yes.
kind of convey. And the investors, we got invested by a venture firm called Seed Camp. Is
Mm.
they're one of the leader European VC firm, one of the leaders. They manage portfolio of I think 500 million funds, and we
Okay.
got it
Mm.
by them. We raised that,
Mm.
and then we took that funds and then build business for 1.5 year to 2 years. Then
Mm.
we raised another round, which is the seed round from
Mm.
a venture firm called 42 Cap. Is
Mm.
it's a based firm.
Mm.
It is good amount.
Okay. So you raise pre-seed and yeah, seed. What about building teams? Did you build a team around you? Were you like full time as a co-founder? How did that work? Why I'm asking is more of like a lot of co-founders have a problem that there is money coming in and they need to also stabilize their own life.
Yeah.
So how did you think about those things?
So I think you got to take the plunge as
Mm,
founders. Obviously, when you raise funds, you are promising them the fortune, right? What you would
mm,
make out of it, what returns you're gonna bring for them. So it's not about for them. It's also like how much you true to the core.
mm,
You fundamentally believe in the problem that you're solving, that
mm,
it's gonna make out of it. And I took a pay cut of 1/5 of what I used to make in Salesforce, and my
mm,
co-founder took pay cut of 1/5 of what he used to make, right? And
mhm.
so let's say if you're making like $100, and now we are taking $20.
Okay, okay, wow. Mm,
There's no savings. There's no savings, and every month I'm depleting my savings. and
Mm,
not
mm,
spreading my savings. But I know it's like it's a journey for 5 years, and we are
mm,
marching towards a bigger vision,
mm,
and it's gonna change one fine day. But how much conviction you have, you got to
mm,
take the plunge, right? You can't really get the same money that you used to make at a big company. Now all of a sudden it's a 2-3 employee company versus the
mm.
Salesforce is like 70,000 employee company, right? Versus employee to 2-3 employees company, and probably you are the one of the you need to show your vested interest before you convince others to join.
Yeah, and understandable. And that's how all big companies form. You need to take the risk, you need to jump in. And you are also like extremely good at what you do. So there is an element of risk, but you already know that, how much value you hold inside. So that also helps you to take that kind of risk.
Yeah.
Can you explain a bit into like what is the product you are building? Um, and like now you explain the use case, or more of like this is the problem, but more of like is it has to do with AI, or how are you solving it? What is the technology?
Yeah, sure. So in one line, if I have to explain, by the way, our company name is OneShot AI. In OneShot, if I
Yeah.
have to explain what we do is, if you are a B2B SaaS company, right? If you have
Mm,
sellers who is actually doing outbound prospecting to get
mm,
the new clients, they could use our platform to do this whole outbound prospecting in a completely efficient manner, right?
mm, mhm,
You spend a lot of time finding the buyers, you spend a lot of time researching about the buyers, you spend a lot of time compiling the message that you wanted to send. Okay, if I wanted to reach out to Pranay and
mm.
an email versus a LinkedIn message versus a cold call, I need to make sure I put something which resonates for Pranay, right? So
Yeah.
it's basically that 15 years back I was doing cold emailing to get a
Mm,
job. Now I'm the salespeople are doing cold prospecting, whatever, right, to get the new
mm,
clients. So we build this technology, OneShot AI platform, which does this whole process in a more efficient manner. Whether it's finding
mm,
right buyers, whether it's find right buyers for your business, whether it's researching about your buyers, and then whether it's crafting that message and using that
mm,
message to send in all the channels, whether it's email or LinkedIn and cold call. We do
mm.
this in a completely effective manner using AI.
Automized. Mm, mhm,
Automate and basically automation and AI. Those are
mm.
our core value propositions to do in a more effective way.
And that's why it's one shot AI. You get one shot.
You get
Make
one shot
sure you
and the
do the
promise is
best.
buyer, exactly.
Our screen froze for a minute, but I understand why you named it One Shot AI.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so now it's more of like compared to back in time, as 11-year-old selling papers to make sure you help your parents, to a tech founder who have raised money. What has changed in you? What is your worldview now?
So I think it's a from I think from personally, it's
Mm,
always that hustle, always that betterment, where you are and where you need to be, where you want to be, and what you need to do today to get to that. Right?
mm,
It's all
mm,
three things. What you have done in the past, and what
mm,
you learned, and what you are doing today to get
mm,
to where you want to be. It's nothing changed. Nothing changed. Whether
mm,
you are doing for survival, whether you are doing for growth, whether you are doing for me, whether you are doing for your own personal fulfillment, it doesn't matter. Whatever the
mm, mm,
objective here is, the process is same. The process is same,
mm.
and nothing changed, I would say.
Yeah, you perfected your way of thinking that you need to move forward strongly with more conviction. I wanted to ask you, like, how much did you raise for the product?
Yeah. So till date we raised 2.9 million US dollars till
Okay.
date across
Mm,
both the rounds
mm,
from both the VC.
okay. And is there, I don't, you don't have to answer this, but is there a plan for another round coming up?
Yeah, we are in the process. Basically, I mean, everything is called Series A, and
Mm.
we're in the process. Hopefully, it works out.
Yes, I wish the very best. So we are coming to the end of the podcast. But I wanted to make a comment that you have a very inspirational story. From where you're coming from and you learning everything on the way and reaching where you are. So I hope everyone who listens to it and feels like, like, oh, this is possible. Doesn't matter where you're from. If you really put your mind into it, you could go forward. And I would like to also ask you, like, so there is this product that you're building, and you can look back in life and you see how much you have covered. What would you feel fulfilling in the future, or what is your envisioning? What is your future? When you think about future, what do you see?
So I would say I want to make it as bigger company where it created ecosystem around for creating jobs, helping
Mm.
them. Like, can I make can I make more Winkies who have been struggling back then? Now the career that I had and if I can make those people, I'm like completely fulfilled, right? And
Mm.
to do that, you need to build a proper business which actually prosper very well. It
Mm.
does good for investors, it does good for employees, it does good for our families as well, I would say.
Mm.
For me, making more Winkies, as if I can make more entrepreneurs out of this journey, I would mean it.
Okay, I think we have come to the end. I would keep Wengi's LinkedIn below. Feel free to follow him and know what is happening to him and support him on his journey.